Imagine you are a catcher behind home plate, waiting for a pitch. But instead of a normal fastball, the pitcher throws a ball that travels at 15 times the speed of sound, and right before it hits your glove, it swerves completely out of the way. In aerospace engineering, we call that speed hypersonic. Technically, that means any vehicle traveling at Mach 5 or faster. At sea level, that is roughly 6,000 kilometers per hour. To understand why this speed is so difficult to deal with, look at how we have handled fast missiles for the last 70 years. A traditional intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, is like a high pop fly in baseball. It arcs high up into space and comes back down along a very strict, mathematically predictable path. Because that path is predictable, our current air defense systems can track the launch, calculate exactly where the missile is going to land, and launch our own interceptor to meet it at a specific point on the way down. Hypersonic weapons do not behave like this. They don't launch into deep space, and they don't follow a straight, calculable line. For 70 years, air defense has relied on math and predictable paths. By combining extreme speed with the ability to actively steer mid-flight, these weapons make it impossible to guess their final target until it is too late to launch a defense. There are two main ways engineers have figured out how to build these steerable weapons. The first is called a hypersonic glide vehicle. A standard rocket boosts the weapon high, but instead of entering space, it releases a sleek glider that surfs the upper atmosphere. Using atmospheric lift, it actively dips and turns. A last-minute course change means any pre-calculated interceptor misses completely. The second type of weapon takes a completely different approach, the hypersonic cruise missile. Instead of gliding from a high altitude, this missile powers itself the entire time using a specialized engine called a scramjet. It breathes in the surrounding atmospheric oxygen, forces that air through its combustion chamber at supersonic speeds, and propels itself forward. Gliders and scramjets are engineered differently, but they achieve the exact same result. They keep the weapon deep inside the Earth's atmosphere, where it can actively steer around obstacles at 6,000 kilometers an hour. That ability to fly low in the atmosphere creates severe physical problems for the systems we rely on to protect us. The first is a massive blind spot. Our existing early warning radars look up high into space to watch for traditional missiles. Because the Earth is round, a radar beam eventually shoots straight out over the horizon. A hypersonic weapon flying close to the Earth's surface sneaks right under that radar beam. It uses the physical curve of the planet to hide. The second problem is extreme heat. When an object pushes through the atmosphere at Mach 10, the aerodynamic friction heats up the front of the vehicle past 2,000 degrees Celsius. That is hot enough to melt most metals. Building a defensive interceptor that is fast enough to catch the weapon while also surviving those melting temperatures is incredibly difficult. You have to pack delicate tracking sensors inside a nose cone that is literally on fire. The third problem is time. Against an old-school ballistic missile, military commanders usually have 10 to 15 minutes to detect the threat, verify it, and launch a defense. Against a hypersonic weapon that stays hidden below the radar horizon, that warning time shrinks to less than 2 minutes. 2 minutes is simply not enough time for human beings to make careful decisions. This reality forces military planners into dangerous conversations about handing over launch authority for nuclear-capable defense interceptors to automated computer systems. This technology has already left the testing phase. Russia has actively fired hypersonic weapons, including an air-launched missile called the Kinjal, at targets in Ukraine. China has rapidly advanced its own program. They recently tested an orbital glider system that can completely bypass American early warning networks by flying over the South Pole, approaching from a completely unexpected direction. The United States invented many of the foundational concepts of extreme speed flight decades ago, but after facing several testing failures, the American military is now actively racing to catch up and field its own operational weapons. This deployment gap has forced defense departments around the world to reconsider how they protect their borders. Catching up in the hypersonic race has become the single largest defense priority of the current decade. Even with these massive advantages, hypersonic weapons are still physical objects governed by the laws of physics. They are not invincible, and new defenses are in active development. Engineers are testing directed energy weapons, like high-powered lasers. By striking at the speed of light, a laser instantly solves the problem of needing to be faster than the target, and it requires zero flight time. In the near term, defense planners are working to place better heat-tracking sensors in space to spot launches earlier, while building more agile interceptors that can adapt to mid-flight course corrections. Hypersonic maneuverability forces us to entirely rethink how we protect our airspace. The major technological test of the next decade is whether our defensive shield can adapt fast enough to catch a weapon designed to be